we are about 6 weeks into my injury, and I'm just getting ready to go back to work. So that's the good news. I also have the results of my recent MRI that I want to show you. And since I'm going back to work, you may be able to guess what they are. But you're going to have to wait for those. I've got a few things I want to talk about first. So at the beginning of my injury, one of the first things that I did was went to the physiotherapist who asked me to get an MRI. She said that was the most accurate method of, looking into the knee and figuring out what's going on. Accurate method of diagnosing any problems that's in that knee, basically. But the thing is, existing laws don't yet allow, in Canada at least, physiotherapists to refer patients to have MRIs done, which is pretty silly because it actually forced me to go back to to my family doctor, who then had to reassess me entirely, and then I had to go through the whole process of waiting for an appointment to get my MRI. And the thing is, if you'll remember, my doctor tried to get me to do an x-ray, which I have chosen personally to never get in my life ever again. I have gotten them before, and you can look in the previous episodes for the reasons why that is. So we compromised anyways, and I ended up saying yes to an ultrasound. Got the ultrasound, the results said large knee effusion. And an interesting thing, and this is why I bring this part up, to recap a little bit, is that I actually interviewed Dr. Ian Harris, an orthopedic surgeon from Australia, for a second opinion on this, just in case the doctor recommended a knee surgery. I wanted to be confident and already know ahead of time what I would choose, because I've done some research into surgery. And every year worldwide, there are over 1 million unnecessary surgeries that happen. I'm not going to bring up too much more data on that, but that all began in the early 70s by this Harvard surgeon and professor, Lucian Leap. But yeah, he followed that thread of research ever since. And in 2000, in recent years, within the past decade, he was asked again, have things changed? And he's like, things have not changed very much. So lots of unnecessary surgeries, which is terrifying. So, and it's dangerous. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get something that will cause you pain and money and maybe even your life done to you by the medical system if you're not aware of the dangers and if you don't do your own research. This is one of the reasons why I'm making this series, so I can show you what I know and how I navigate my way through to lead by example and give you some ideas and thoughts to think about of things that you may never have considered. So anyways, about the ultrasound, I interviewed Dr. Ian Harris, and you can check out the interview. It's on my YouTube channel, and I'll put a link in the description below of this video so you can find it.
So an ultrasound is, and a knee effusion says there's fluid in the knee. It doesn't tell you what's causing the fluid. So an ultrasound that says you've got a knee effusion is a complete waste of time. Nobody here recommends ultrasounds to investigate a knee. If you've got a knee problem, it's a low yield test, and it has low specificity.
Just like the physiotherapist initially recommended, I got an MRI, and this was a couple weeks back, and my appointment was at 2:45 a.m. It was the weirdest time ever. I slept a couple hours before, and then I just remember waking up being tired, going in to get an MRI at middle of the night like that. It was kind of weird. Oh, and by the way, weirdest experience ever. If you've gotten an MRI, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. If the machine that they took it with was the same as the one that I had it done on. I just remember walking into the room, and there was this technician. He was Indian, I think. And he had no concept of how terrifying that was to walk into this room. And the MRI machine was literally to the roof, 8 feet high maybe. Just big and round. Kind of looked like if you've ever seen a radiotherapy machine. It looks very similar to that from what I've seen in photos, which is terrifying because I was like, oh my God, what if they switched the device or something? But anyways, what you do, they sit you down on this little bed and then they slide you in, and all around you this thing's creating a magnetic field which it captures the image. I don't know how it works, but Unbelievable. The sounds that come off this thing, too. This is why it was the weirdest experience of my life. The only experience that was probably weirder was getting laser eye surgery, where they just take like a laser and just, you don't see that part, but then they flap your eye up, the lens, and it's just fuzz. And then they flip it back after they edit the shape of the material underneath your lens, which I wouldn't have gotten it done in retrospect. Although it is pretty awesome having good vision, and it has stayed. It did fade for a bit, but then I switched my diet. Anyways, that was a bit of a digression. Let's get back to this MRI thing. So literally, I've been practicing this a little bit. So this sound effect that I'm going to make, what this machine makes, it makes multiple ear-piercing sounds that are slightly variable, like probably about 5 different sounds, and this is over like 100 decibels. They say like 120 decibels or louder will make you go deaf. So this was about 100 decibels, so they'd put earplugs in you, and these were not good earplugs. I was like, oh no, like trying to get this thing back in there. But literally, this is how it sounded. This is one of the sounds. Ready? Like loud for like 8 seconds in a row, and then it stops, and then another one, and then another one. Anyway, I got the results for you. I bought them, and it was $30. The ultrasound cost $2 to get a burnt CD. This place had the arrogance to charge $30 for a burnt CD with my MRIs on it. I paid it because I want to put it in this video for you guys, and I also wanted to see it myself, and they're pretty neat how it works. It's like every layer it takes a photo of, and so I have like 25 different photos, and I'm going to string them together for you. You're lucky. This took some time to do. I hope you enjoy it.
But an MRI is a very detailed test with high sensitivity and high specificity that can show you not only the bones, because an X-ray just shows the bones, but it can show you the menisci, it can show you the lining of the joint, it can show you the ligaments inside the joint if you've got a torn ligament from sports injury.
After I got the MRI, I knew that I was going to have a little period of waiting before I get the results and the doctor's recommendation of what to do. So, like I said, if I was faced with the possibility, or because I was faced with the possibility that the doctor might say you need surgery, I wanted to be sure. I wanted a second opinion, and I wanted to first see if that surgery works. So one of the things I did was talk to Ian Harris, like I was saying. But before we get to that, I also had requested in previous videos, I polled the audience on YouTube here and said, anybody who has had this surgery or not, comment below and let me know. And I got one response there, and I got 2 responses from friends in real life who've gotten the knee surgery. So the 2 friends in real life who got the knee surgery, they still have problems with their knees. They still limp to this day. So did it work? I asked them. They said it didn't do shit. So, but really, I mean, you don't, because you got the surgery, you don't know what it would be like if you didn't get it. But I would say, based on their responses, they regretted it. They wish they hadn't gotten it. So, to me, that's evidence that this surgery is not helpful. The knee arthroscopy would be the one that they would recommend, by the way. So that's the one in particular that we're talking about. And the person who commented on my video on YouTube said the doctor recommended knee arthroscopy. He actually said no. And the result of saying no and not getting the cut, not getting the surgery, he ended up healing, and his knee is fine now. It's perfect. No pain or anything. So that was pretty convincing. That's some good evidence for me not to get it. Now, Dr. Ian Harris wrote a book called Surgery, The Ultimate Placebo. So he basically investigated the evidence behind these surgeries. You know, some of them actually don't have evidence, and they are no better than placebo. No better than nothing at all. And knee arthroscopy was one that he does talk about in his book, and I asked him specifically in the interview about that, and here's what he had to say.
And I had dinner with a friend of mine who's an orthopedic surgeon, and we were talking about this study that had come out comparing knee arthroscopy to placebo surgery, where they pretended to do an arthroscopy, showed no difference. And he said, I think that study's great. I'm doing more arthroscopies than ever. And I said, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, why, you should not be doing it now. And he said, no, it's great, because if you look at it, most of the patients got better in both groups. And he said, I don't care whether it's placebo or not. If most of my patients are getting better, I'll keep doing it.
What do you think the chances are that if the doctor recommends me arthroscopic surgery and I get it, that will benefit my knee?
Depends what's wrong with your knee.
Oh.
So if you had an injury, so if you had an injury to your knee and you've got a torn ligament, and your knee is unstable, then the arthroscopic surgery to reconstruct the ligament can be helpful. If you just have a very small meniscus tear and a little bit of fluid in your knee, I'd probably just sit on it and wait and see how it goes.
So that's it. That's the end of this documentary series. I hope you've learned a lot, and I hope that if you are injured or if you ever become injured, you are now more well equipped to safely navigate the medical system, because as you can see with the x-rays not at all being safe, they can cause you more harm than good. And like I said, based on the evidence, I don't think it's worth it at all. So I'm not getting one ever. What else? Unnecessary surgeries are a possibility. Unnecessary drugs. Doctors tend to overprescribe, overtreat. And that's one of the reasons why you have to be informed about the possible treatments, the possible diagnostic tools, and their harms that they may cause. So I hope I have brought that to light for you and given you a whole bunch of different things to consider. And I hope this series has helped you. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this one with anyone you care about.